Hi everyone, this is Adam from Recreation Services, and today I'm going to be talking about the relationship between stability and mobility. So when you think about mobility, you're thinking about freedom of movement, range of motion, where stability, you're thinking something like balanced or secure or firm or sturdy. So they do sound very different, but they are also very closely related when it comes to physical activity and exercise. So mobility is your ability to move through a range of motion without restriction. So when you're assessing mobility, it's the degree that a joint can move before it becomes restricted, whether it's by muscles or ligaments or tendons. So it's the free moving motion that you get through a joint. Stability in movement speaks to motor control. It's the ability to maintain postural equilibrium throughout a movement and support joints throughout the movement. So it's, additional muscles that are helping to stabilize the joint through the movement so it tracks properly or moves properly through an exercise. So improving this relationship between stability and mobility transfers to exercise and sports, improves performance, and reduces your risk of injury. So mobility alone, or flexibility even, isn't enough to reduce risk of injury. So taking a joint-by-joint approach, you can see that joints stack one on top of the other and alternate between mobility and stability as you kind of work your way through the joints. So disruption of this pattern of alternating stability and mobility creates a dysfunctional movement, which can lead to injury or poor performance. So usually when you have this kind of disruption, you get a changing of roles. So a joint that is supposed to be a mobile joint becomes immobile and more stable, where a stability joint or a stability focused joint becomes too mobile. So you can see this in, say, a squat, where you're going through a squatting motion. Your knees are supposed to be a stability emphasis on that one, but they become more mobile and start tracking side to side. So better controlled movements allow you to process the energy and stress exerted during exercise. So limitations in one joint, you'll find, will have an effect on the joints above and below it in the kinetic chain. For example, a loss of hip mobility can lead to back pain above the joint, or knee dysfunction, or maybe bad tracking that leads to knee pain below the joint. Also, if you look at ankle mobility, a reduction in ankle mobility can then lead to knee pain up the chain. So some joints can have multiple roles, so joints that are multi-planar in movement, like the hip or the shoulder, can be both stable or unstable and mobile and immobile. So when you're focusing on stability, a lot of people think about core stability, which is important in stabilizing your spine. However, you can focus on stability through your knees as well. So some exercises you might do for that would be squats or banded squats, could be partial leg extension, single leg press, dead bugs, or plank toe taps. Those are all good for either the core or knee joints. Mobility, the same thing. You can focus on whether it's your spine, especially your T-spine, but also ankle mobility, hip mobility, shoulder mobility, all things that are going to be important for various movements. So working your way up, you think about heel-toe rocking to work on ankle mobility. Hip mobility can be stretching, but also dynamic exercise like hip openers, hip circles kind of thing, things like that. Focusing on your spine, you can do exercises like cat-camel or side-lying windmill, and shoulder pass-through would be another option to work on shoulder mobility. Stability and mobility, although very different, very closely related when it comes to exercise. That relationship between the two can help you with performance and reduce risk of injury. So feel free to kind of work in some stability and mobility exercise, and hopefully it helps improve those movement patterns and keeps you safe and progressing. Good luck.